Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Eid Mubarak to each one of you and your family members. May the new moon bring energy, positivity in your life, and worldwide good health. Because we all require good health and we all require positivity at this time of COVID-19 lockdown. So I'm indeed privileged and thankful to the virtual lawyer, Professor Dr. Manjula Batra and Janvi Sharma, who are promoting virtual legal education through this platform. And it is indeed a great thing which has come up. And I'm sure all of you are enjoying listening to the lectures which Professor Manjula Batra and Janvi are organizing and convening. It is a task in itself, but then the way the far-sightedness they both have, that what should be covered, what next, that is commendable and it needs to be mentioned for sure. So the topic for today, virtual learning for judicial service aspirants. Indeed, a topic which is close to my heart because the time when I was working hard and studying hard for judicial service, it was almost 2 years. So that was a topic where that was a good time, you can say that the time which I looked down upon, and I feel like it was the time which decided my future. And of course, enjoyed that time to the core. And I would be sharing my experience with all of you today and also how you can go about in this virtual learning. I hope my volume and my voice is clear to each one of you because this is a live Instagram. So if any of you can just give me a heads up that I'm clear and audible to each one of you, then I go ahead with my topic for the day. So great. I'm sure the ones who are joining us today, they are all aspiring to be judicial service officers, maybe in Delhi or maybe in different states. So yes, this time, the concern at the moment, COVID-19 lockdown, we all are at home, we all are working from home. In fact, we are working from home in such a way that we do not actually have Sundays. Like even on Sundays, we are working and we can, and why not? It's actually the technology is so handy at this moment. We all can learn from technology and there's so much we can take from technology. The only thing which we need to do is to bifurcate the knowledge which is right for us and wrong for us. This is the focus I'm taking on to the school students because I've been interacting with school students quite often now, and I've been telling them, for them the technology, for their parents technology is worrisome, but people like us, the ones who are lawyers or ones who are law students, I think we know how to use technology for gaining our knowledge or our wisdom. So let's use it to the core and let's understand how can it contribute towards our preparation towards the judicial service. The biggest concern right now is that you cannot get out of the house. Number one, you need to be at home. Of course, there has been shift in the lockdown parameters now that you're allowed to go home, you're allowed to go out, and you're allowed to do certain things which you weren't allowed in lockdown 1, 2, and 3. But then our courts are still shut, and we are operating in our courts through video conference and through technology. But then there's another side to it. So the ones who are judicial service aspirants, they're made to sit at home, which they must while they're preparing for the judicial service exam. Any which way, like I've seen a few friends who were practicing lawyers and alongside they were studying for judicial service, and it took them almost like 3-4 years. There were very few who cracked it in like a year's time, but there are very few in number who cracked it along with practice, and they took almost 4 years of preparation because your practice, you as a litigating lawyer, it requires the time and concentration. And similarly, the judicial service preparation ain't an easy preparation. It requires your time. In fact, I was also working when I gave my first attempt, And I gave my first attempt because I was proud enough. I was feeling that in my law school my grades were very good, and I know I believe in hard work, and I'm good in drafting, and I'm good. So I thought that this exam is coming up. People shared it with me, and my office staff, they were actually like, yes, this madam will surely crack, she's very intelligent. And I was on cloud 9. Yes, this exam is for me, and I'm going to crack this exam no matter what. But then of course the bubble was then taken away. I went for the exam, the preliminary exam. I got the paper in my hand, and in half an hour I realized how much is my intelligence and how much is the intelligence required for that exam. It ain't an easy exam. So then and there, because at that time we never used to get the earlier year question papers. So I requested the invigilator. I said, ma'am, can I have a plain sheet of paper? And she was surprised. Why is this girl asking a plain sheet of paper? And then I said, no. She said, there's no maths in it. I said, yes, I'm also a maths student from school, but then I need to write some things. So she said, okay. So then I took a plain paper from her, and I had written what topic covered how. Like arbitration, there were how many questions? So there were 3 questions at that time. Transfer of Property Act, there were 7 questions. Constitution, 35 questions. So I remember, because at that time we never used to get the earlier question papers of Delhi. So I took note of this, that this is the thing. And everyone asked me that, yes, are you clearing the exam? And I simply said, I am sure I'm not, but I know my next plan of action. So the next plan of action was, of course, joining a judicial service preparation center. So which teaches you, and which goes, because the way we study at law school and the way we practice in court is very different. Of course, that experience matters. That experience counts when you're writing, because you're asked to write a judgment, do a judgment writing. It matters. But then studying for this exam and cracking this exam, first and foremost, the concepts. And how the concepts jump from one concept to the other needs to be very, very clear at your level. So for this, I of course inquired from here and there, and where to get these concepts clear. Concepts, sub-concepts, and it needs to be streamlined in such a way, because these exams are back to back and you hardly get time to revise. So it needs to be streamlined in your brain in such a way that you're just ready for it at any moment. So yes, I joined, and then I got to know the track which I should go. And I have always, anyone who has come and interacted with me on how to crack this exam, I always say one line: you have to study smart. Everything would be, it's like study smart. You cannot be studying 18 hours in a day. You can't be studying 16 hours in a day. You have to streamline your day in such a manner that ultimately it's smart studying. You can only memorize for 3-4 hours in a day. You can divide your day like this. You can do exercise like Hindi translation or English translation twice a week for half an hour. You can do some newspaper reading. So never take this newspaper reading, this general knowledge exercise or translation as part of the exam. Always take this as something which is time pass for you, because otherwise you will get very frustrated that you keep studying, and then you really you feel that you're studying for 18 hours a day. You cannot have this feeling that you're studying 18 hours a day. If you get this feeling that you're studying 18 hours a day, you're actually not comfortable, and you'll be so frustrated by your own self that you will soon give it up. The point is that you don't have to give it up for another year or so, because this exam, the pattern of exam is such that when the notification comes and when your interview happens, it is a year's time in itself. So the momentum needs to be there for that year, and also before that when you're doing the coaching. And if you're not doing the coaching, and you know, like, you can go about with the books and how are you doing, so that of course goes without saying. So the lockdown, you all are at home. So I feel that it's a blessing in disguise for judicial service aspirants. No one asking you, why are you not preparing, or why are you not coming to courts these days? Where have you been? Why are you missing? Like, I remember when I started studying, so people started calling me so often that you are not visible in court. Where are you? So, but I had this thing that I'm not sharing with anybody. that I'm preparing for this exam until I clear it. Because one trial and error was done when everyone was very sure that I will crack the exam, and that preliminary exam happened and I realized that no. So I was like, I will give this exam and I will not inform people from my own mouth that I'm giving this exam. So yes, and so for you it's a blessing in disguise. So this time I will share it with all of you, that how this virtual learning, there are two set of people. One of them have been saying that this webinars are too much, and it's too much, and they just cannot hear now, and they are just getting on them, and they're so boring, and at the same time some organizers are giving it certificates and whatnot. But there are certain webinars and certain set of people who are doing it and who are following it religiously. So you can be one of them. Why you can be one of them? There's a reason behind it. I would be sharing that with you when I come to the stages of this exam. So it's an important thing for you. For judicial service aspirants, it's important from the perspective of the paper. So paper, the syllabus which you have for the paper. First and foremost, the decision to give the exam, to not to give the exam. That is of course yours. No one is pushing you for the exam. But then I would always say that decision needs to be taken by you at individual level. The pros and cons, whether you wish to be in practice, whether you wish to be in the judicial service, how do you wish to contribute or further the cause of justice, so on and so forth. But this decision making at your end is very, very important, because this decision in itself would give you the determination to work hard. There are some people who say that I was not ready to give, but I gave the exam and I cleared it. So those set of people are lucky people. I call them lucky people, because to me this exam is nothing but, yes, it is luck. Of course, we all know that luck operates in the universe, but then yes, it is your hard work. And then what I shared with all of you, how smart are you while studying? So like if I would share with you, like right now you all are so privileged. That's like renowned speakers sitting from their home and discussing with you injunctions, pleadings, amendments, electronic evidence, cybercrime, and the kind of varied topics they're discussing. And this, of course, for me, I gave the exam in year 2010, been quite a long time. But then this topics which they are choosing gives you the hint that what are the important topics. So I would be discussing with you that how the important topics function. And I would also be taking the question answers in a while after I discuss the exam structure with all of you. So always remember, decision to give or not to give is yours. If you decide to give, that determines the hard work at your end, number one. Number two, it is not only the hard work, you have to be very smart in studying. I remember when I used to be in my routine of judicial service preparation, of my because I have been blessed to work with a lot of people in my internship days, and of course after the law. So they have been my mentors, and also my teacher who was teaching me for judicial service examination. So they were my mentors. And whenever I used to sleep in the night, the thought used to come that all of them study till 11 o'clock and they get up at times at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock to study again for the day. And I used to wonder that they have everything. They are well settled. They are judges, they are renowned lawyers, and the one who was my mentor, he's teaching 800 people in a day, and every month he has like 50 people who come up to him and say that, sir, we are judge now. So I thought to myself that when they are studying like this and they're so committed to this cause of furthering the cause of justice, so me being a young lawyer, just 21-year-old, why can't I be committed to it? So I remember my eyes used to be wide open at 5:30 that they have cars, they have everything, they're well settled in life. If they can give so much, then why not me? So that always pushed me to give my best at that time. and then of course to get inspired by them, that they're smart enough, the way they deal in court, the way they work in court. I'm going to be smart enough on my desk, on my study table, and coin my ideas and how I would go about. So coming to the exam phase. Exam, we all know there are 3 stages: preliminary, mains and interview. Coming to the first and foremost, cracking the preliminary examination. How can you crack the preliminary examination? Simple. Preliminary examination has everything under the sun. You pick up the topic and any topic. So of course I was guided by my teachers that read the Bare Act as much as you can. And I was like, okay, reading the Bare Act, but reading the Bare Act in itself is not enough. You need to do some exercise beyond it. So what I did was, I did 1 hour of the morning reading of the Bare Act, which would be small acts like Specific Relief Act, like of course Transfer of Property Act is not a small act, but I labeled it as a small act, and I labeled the big acts like CPC, CRPC, Evidence and Indian Penal Code. These 4 acts I labeled in my study library as big acts, and the other rest are small acts. So the big acts I used to do it in the evening, 1 hour of reading. I just used to read them. So just read and try to understand what I'm understanding. 1 hour in the morning I used to do this, the small acts which I used to call them, and I used to just take them out, like good weather at 7 a.m. in the morning, and I used to go to the balcony and sit with 1 act, and I'm reading as if I'm reading a storybook. I used to do that. So this takes 2 hours of my day. To me, the productivity of any person is best for 6 hours in a day. So I've always divided those 6 hours in the best of manner. The rest I've taken as a routine work, which is like you can do as much as you want and which doesn't make you feel frustrated. So the remaining 4 hours, I took the important topics. For every act, I had my own thing, like for CPC, supposedly, I wrote 5 important topics. I'm sharing with you my important topics, but then, yes, you can choose your own, because these days you have access to the old papers. So when you read these old papers, you, like last 10 years if you pick, and you see the topics on which the questions have been asked. So for every Bare Act, you can get 5 important topics. So I remember for me, I did that exercise while I was sitting for the preliminary exam. So I did those, that this is the subject, these many questions, and this subject they've been asking. So I did that exercise. So for preliminary examination, I had my 5 important topics from each Bare Act. So in the remaining those 4 hours, I started doing those topics as if I'm preparing for the written main examination. Topic like res judicata, it's actually like, it has so many concepts. It has major 5 concepts into it. Then the first concept has 3 sub-concepts. So you need to have a flow chart. I've been blessed enough because my teacher was such that he gave me, because he used to believe in making the flow charts. So with him, I understood that the brain can function smartly, and it can remember. I can read a question on memory. So the memory functions best when it's flow chart. So you remember it more. So with those flowcharts and in those 4 hours, I took mastery on those important topics. So this takes 6 hours of my day, and that's productive enough. Then what I did, there are remaining hours, and there is time when I used to like sit with my mother and she's watching TV and I'm doing it. So I procured, and in fact you can also, there are a lot of people who give it once they clear the exam, they give it for donation also, and there are people who are, you can take it on rent or you can buy it. I bought it, and what I did was I went to this Jain Book Depot, and there used to be at that time the Universal bookstore also. So there were 3 bookstores in Delhi at that time. I remember 2008. So I went to all these bookstores. As many books they had on this multiple choice questions, I procured all those books, and I had those books at my house. First I procured obviously 5 books. Once I was done with those 5 books, then another 5, then another 5. So what I did with these books was that I opened, like especially Constitution. So I opened those multiple choice questions and I started doing it. So of course, not that when you start this exercise, Not that you would know the answers. Trust me, 50% or 80% answers you will not know. You cannot know those answers. Maybe you can have a clue about it, but you will still be unsure whether the answer is right or not. So what I did was I did those multiple choice questions. So the answers which were easy to guess or I knew it beforehand, so that remains. I used to just tick it and I used to feel that that is done. Number one. The answers for which I was confused that maybe this is the answer or maybe this is the answer. So I had my own registers of every subject. So I then used to see the answer then and there at the back. And then I used to write that question with the answer as one liner in that register. It was simple. And of course, the questions which I had no idea what the answer is, I simply used to look at back, okay, this is the answer. This is the way I memorized it. And I used to see the question, make it a one-liner, write it on my register. So this way, apart from those 6 hours, so I used to keep doing it. So I never counted the hours I was into it. So I think the Constitution mastery was taken through these exercise of doing these questions as much as possible. So cover these books, and in fact for you, if you do not write now these days, we do not need these books also. There's so much material available online. I remember there's websites, there are law school tutorials, there are a lot of websites, and in fact these websites like which prepare you for IAS exams, they have those general knowledge questions and they even have those questions on Constitution. So, and even like these magazines called Pratogita Darpan, I remember I used to read that magazine from first word to the last word. I used to like that magazine because that magazine used to cover current affairs so well. So we have the online version of that magazine now. So we have that. So you can always do this. So apart from this multiple choice questions, doing the concept and sub-concept of the topic for 4 hours and bare act reading for 2 hours, the preliminary examination gets sorted. And trust me that it will be like when you're giving this paper, you would be quick to guess that where are these questions coming from. Like I came back and I was wondering that there was this book, 10 questions was from this book. I kind of felt, maybe right or wrong, I do not know that. But then yes, there were few questions I thought that it is as it is, because I did as many questions, I attempted as many multiple choice questions as I could at that time. So this is all for the prelim exams. So the result for the prelim exams comes within 3 days, 4 days. It takes only 4 days for them to give the result. So in 4 days or at times maximum a week. So you have this prelim exam, you get to know there were 18,000, because at that time I remember 17,000 or 18,000 people gave the exam. And then they shortlisted people around 500 or 400 to give the mains examination. Mains examination ain't an easy exam. In Delhi, it's completely practical based. You have to be very concentrated. Like I shared it with you, for 5 important topics of each subject, any which way your concepts and sub-concepts would be prepared. In case you're done with 5 topics much well in advance before the preliminary exam comes, you can choose another 5 topic of that subject. Simple. So what I did was for mains, as per the question papers and as per my person who is like my teacher who guided me. So I had this thing that whenever he used to teach in the class, he used to say this is the most important topic. So I used to have single star. At times he used to say it's very, very, very. So I used to have 3 stars. So my maximum thing was 5 stars. And apart from that, he also used to say for some topics that read the book, textbook, normal textbook. And for some topics, he used to say read the commentary. So for the topics he always said read the commentary, I realized that this topic is practical based. And in this classroom teaching which he's giving to us, he wants us to gather as much practical knowledge as we can. So what I did while I was studying with him, I used to come home and I used to read those recent cases on those topics, of course the commentary, and I also used to follow the Google alert on those topics. Yes, it was a task, but then I told you that it's a study smart kind of a thing. So I remember that time I had Google alert on my email for High Court of Delhi, for Supreme Court of India, For topics like res judicata, I had given the alerts as soon as there's some judgment, I need to be aware of that judgment. So that alert used to come on my emails, and this used to be my pastime in the evening, like around post dinner. I used to sit and read those mails. I used to call this as a pastime. I'm sure you would be wondering, that is no pastime. Now when I also look back, I feel yes, that was no pastime. But then yes, because the kind of study we require, so you need to give yourself completely for the preparation. So this was for the mains examination. So I made these topics like first 10 important topics in each subject, then second 5 important topics, third 5 important topics. They were like in CPC, I remember I had almost like 25 important topics, because it's a big act, it's a procedure in itself. They can ask you anything. And in fact, they don't ask a direct question. They ask you linked with Transfer Property Specific Relief Act and the Limitation Act with Civil Procedure Code. So the question comes in such a way that you really do not know that the question is based solely on civil procedure or limitation, specific relief act. It could be anything. So you need to be smart enough to interlink those acts as well. So for that, you need those alerts, those virtual learning for yourself. So this virtual learning at this time, I will say again, it is a blessing in disguise for each one of you. All of you are home, and you can just have as many alerts as you can and follow these webinars. So coming to the topic of webinars, I shared it with all of you when I started that I would come. So the webinars, the topics on which webinars are being convened are the topics which deserves 5-star. They are the important topics, because there are brains behind these topics who are legal luminaries, who are jurists, who are dean of universities for such a long time, and they are the ones who are choosing this topic, keeping in view the COVID-19 lockdown. So now when the paper comes up for you, the next paper, the main examination, the person who would be preparing the paper knows all this happening, and because that person would of course be impacted, he or she may think that yes, that was an important topic, and the judicial service aspirants must know this topic in detail, and accordingly a question could be made. So for you, the virtual learning for judicial service aspirants is important. In fact, I have a family friend. The other day she messaged me, because I'm currently holding this position of Secretary, South District Legal Services Authority, so in which we do these lawyers training program for legal aid lawyers. So we have varied of webinars which we have been doing for legal aid lawyers at YouTube level, some at the group discussion level. So she messaged me, she said, I'm taking notes. And I was like, how are you taking notes? And then I also got inspired. I said, yes, because she is one of the judicial service, she's a legal aid lawyer, but at the same time, she's a judicial service aspirant. And she's taking notes, because she knows that these topics which are being discussed, of course, she has to work on it. She has to study the sub-concept of the topic, because when the resource person takes this topic in the webinar, they take it at a very specific and the focused level. They do not take it at the academic level or at the concept level, which you need to know for writing the exam. Leaving some, of course, there are few, I've seen the webinars myself, they touched on the academic background also, sharing the concept, got paused, and then the issue. So coming back, so main examination, yes, Hindi translation. I know few people whom I meet, and they say that how do we go about Hindi translation and English translation? First and foremost, newspaper. Have a Hindi newspaper, have an English newspaper, read some newspaper clippings you can read in both the newspapers. Not all, not everything, but some of them you can do it. Newspapers, apart from that, there is this political science book of class 11th and 12th. So in CBSE, the NCERT books, they come in Hindi as well as in English. So because we all have Constitution as the basic, so I remember I took Hindi version of the Constitution, the Diglot edition, and I also took the political science book of Hindi and English of class 11th and 12th. So this was my fixed routine, that in my pastime, I'm reading political science of class 11th in Hindi or English. I'm reading Hindi as well as English, and I'm also reading the Constitution from the Diglot edition. Diglot edition is in such a way that on one page there's Hindi and on the other page there's English. So you can actually see Hindi words here and English word here. So it is a good thing. And I remember there used to be a dictionary of universals of English to Hindi. That was a very good dictionary. So I even did that. I bought that, and at times I used to sit, and of course my father used to take a lot of interest in my Hindi preparation. And I remember like his morning cup of tea used to be my morning breakfast, and he used to be reading the newspaper, and he often used to ask me 5 or 10 Hindi words. Like, Shreya, tell me these words. What is it called in Hindi? What is it called in English? And at times I used to end up fighting with him. I used to say that because out of 10 I used to, at times initially I knew only 3, 4, and I used to be under stress and pressure that where am I going? But then with time, because this preparation, by the time exam comes, it is a 1 year time in itself. So when that 1 year happens, you will not even know that you've completed 1 year, and your 3 right answers of translating this English to Hindi becomes 10 out of 10. So just that you need to be determined, and you need to have your proper time for everything. Not that you do Hindi every day. Hindi, because it is like we have 100 marks, 50 marks for English to Hindi and 50 marks to Hindi to English. So then you have to accordingly, because marks are a lot. 100 marks is not less in this paper. 850, because 150 is for your interview and 850 for mains. So out of 1000 marks, you have 100 based on this Hindi English. So, and on which you can easily get the mastery. We all, because a country like us, we speak English fluently, we speak Hindi fluently, we speak Punjabi fluently, we speak all our languages. So that's the best part for our country. Like if we make an attempt to learn, we can easily learn about it. Mains examination, anything else which you wish to know, like Civil Law 1 and Civil Law 2, I've told you, I've shared it with you. You can go, you can choose the important topics, you can understand these topics, like you can make a flow chart. The making of the flow chart helps you remember the concept and sub-concepts. And because when you write this exam, I remember when I came back after the first day, because we have back-to-back exam, morning one exam, evening one exam, and the very next day morning another exam and evening other exam. So I came back home day and I was tired. 3 hours of writing one exam in the morning with 1 hour break for lunchtime, and then again 3 hours writing, and then I came back home and I was tired, and I know that there are 2 important exams tomorrow. So I remember it was, as much as you want to revise, you cannot revise. So for that day you really need to have your flow charts ready. And I remember, it was 1 o'clock, and 1 o'clock in the night before the next paper, and my brother said, you need to sleep now, otherwise you will forget whatever you've learned. So I said, no, I need 1 hour more. So then I said, but what if I'm sleepy during the exam? So I remember he shared this thing called, because he said, have 1 Red Bull before the exam, you will have the right bulbs opening up. So I never ever tried any of such sports drink in my life. I remember I took, for the second day, I was so tired because it gets on to you writing this paper. So in fact, before the second morning paper and before the evening paper, I had 1 Red Bull, because you need that energy to remind you what all you've learned in last 1.5 years time. And this, of course, I've shared it with you. 6 hours of productive time. You have to divide it in such a way for yourself. You know your positives, you know your weaknesses. You need to divide it in such a way that in 3 months' time, you're able to cover CPC and CRPC, evidence and IPC. Trust me, once these 4 bare acts are done, then it becomes an easier task. Coming to the interview. Interview, general knowledge. Of course, interview, the questions can be on general knowledge. Interview, yes, you need to revise everything again. Interview ain't an easy interview. The panel is such, I remember my panel had around 7 people, and when you enter that room, and it's a round room, it's a room with a round big table, and the aura of the room is such that I scored the highest in my mains, but then still, like, the pressure, the 7 people looking up to you for the answers. For you to be prepared, you need to revise. Like there were few people who told me that interview is okay, they ask you general questions. To me, they did not. And I always say that you should not stick to general questions. You should always, because you get almost 2 months time to prepare for interview, should always revise the law again, because the questions can be on the practical side. I remember Justice Vikramjit Sen asked me one question on jurisdiction, and then he put the second question to me, third question on the same topic, and he kept asking me on the same topic, and which reminded me my flow chart of section 20 CPC, concept, subconcept, 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 and kept answering him. In the end, he actually told me, he said, you remember it so well, why not you share with us with the judgment too? And I remembered the judgment because that judgment was part of my flow chart. And I shared with him the judgment, and he was like, and he did this, and I realized that yes, I have nailed it, and he's happy and impressed. I came back home and I looked that judgment online. I was like, is this judgment right? Which I did. And I got to know that was the judgment of Justice Sen being upheld by the Supreme Court. And I quoted that judgment, and it was the luck which reminded me. And I was like, wow, I nailed it with that judgment. So the luck also works when you study smart. So interview, this is all. I think we have 55 minutes, Janvi told us. So you can all put up the questions to me. I think Janvi has mailed some questions to me, so we can deal it questions by question. Yes. Do we need coaching necessarily? No, you do not need coaching necessarily. It depends on your acumen. See, we all know as students how wise we are. Like frankly, like I've scored well in my law school. I've been a university topper also in one of the semester. But then when I wrote that preliminary exam, I realized that it needs dedication. It needs a different level of expertise. I remember when I think one of you asked this question, that where did you took the coaching? Second question is where to get coaching from. I took this coaching from Mr. Rahul. He's there at Mukherjee Nagar. So I remember when I joined him, so to me, like I was very confident because my law school teachers of Constitution, Indian Penal Code, Family Law, they were jurisprudence, they were remarkable teachers. I was blessed with remarkable teachers, and I was very, very confident that these subjects I do not need further coaching, and I can do it. But when my judicial teacher Rahul sir took these subjects, and I was like, I know this topic and I'm very good in this topic, but the way he did it from the perspective of the exam, it was different in itself. It was more like I explained it to you, his focus was those charts, this technology based flow charts which he used to make it on the board. So those flow charts remain in your brain, some part of your brain, and those, when like even with or without the Red Bull, when you are writing the paper, that bulb of that brain functions, and you're reminded that this is applicable in this scenario. So that's the way you memorize things. So for me, it was important. I feel that had I not done that coaching, I would not have been rank 1. I may have cleared it in my second attempt by studying myself, but rank 1 is completely his. I owe it to him completely. What is the first step to begin studying for judicial? I think first step is your decision, whether you do it or... I've seen many people who decide, but then they propagate to such an extent that I'm giving this judiciary exam, I would be a judge, and then they get into that pressure, and then people say, oh, you want to become... So I have been a different person altogether. I never shared it with anyone, but many of my friends, they called me, they said, we know you're studying for this exam. I said yes, and then there was a time when the notification wasn't out. So it was 3-4 months I had left my work also, and I was fully committed to studying for this exam, and I changed my phone number. Only my parents had my number, and I said, I don't want my number. I don't want my friends to be in touch with me. I decided, I said, if they interrogate me. So I was sure, because this was under the guidance of Rahul sir. He said, all these friends and all these relatives who call you on a regular basis, they all will come back when you clear your exam and when you become a judge. And in fact, he was right. He said that you will, if today you have 5 friends, like post this exam, you will have 50 friends. So there's like, you have time for this. So I followed his advice and I changed my number, and I was like, I do not want to be in touch with anyone, and I was into it. So the first step is your decision to take the exam. On that will decide your hard work and your determination. Is an internship under an advocate for necessary? See, I did a lot of internships because I did a lot of extracurricular activities in my law school also. It's like my college newsletter, the moot courts, the debates, the essay writing. So you see, these things your teachers would be sharing it with you, but then if you've done it in your law school, very good. But then if you've not done and you're a lawyer right now, so it's fine, you can start it even now. So but then if you're a law student and you have the chance to do it, I would say it's better to do it, because I might like because my internships were different level, with one renowned criminal lawyer, with CBI, with district court, with an NGO, with my dean. In fact, I worked under Professor Manjula Batra for quite a long time as a researcher. I did quite a work. So when you make these people your mentors, you understand that how they work hard. And trust me, at their position, they work hard in a very, very smart way. So you may think that 18-year-old or a 20 or 21-year-old, you 22, 23-year-old, you're smarter than them. But trust me, they're smarter than us. So I kind of took those things, that how they study, how they think. So I remember like my criminal internship, which was with Mr. Luthra, and he said, you need to get me a thin line difference between cheating, criminal breach of trust, and conspiracy. Till date, I remember it took me 2 days to find him a thin line difference. So that kind of exposure actually contributes for your preparation towards judicial service exam. So it is important, but then as much as you can. How important it is to memorize it? No, it is not important. You can read these barracks, and by the time you complete the 1 year of preparation, it will get memorized to you. And of course, when you're 4 months away from the exam, or 3 months, when you're done with your prelims and you know now the main exam is there 3 months down the corner, then you can start learning it. But then you do not learn the sections, because prelims, of course, it's multiple choice. I've shared it with you, the best practice which I did. For mains, they give you the barracks. So I think this is the best thing, which the barracks they give you. So when you read the law, you understand the concepts and subconcept. So the specific essential ingredients which you need to write it in the paper, you have the barrack with you. So that is given to you. Another set of questions. How to remember order and rules of CPC. You only need to remember the order and rules of CPC to the extent of the most important topics. For rest, you would be given the barrack in your mains examination. For prelims, the kind of exercise which you have done, so wherever the questions have come, like what is the order for appeals, so that would get memorized in your system any which way, with doing those multiple choice questions every day. What motivated you in your law days, or in your law days? Okay, everything is law. I read law as law. There's nothing as law. What motivated you in your law days, and when you did not feel like studying? Yes, I remember in this judicial service preparation, this Mr. Rahul called one of the judge called I don't remember, Parminder, I feel, to the coaching center to interact with us when he just became a judge. So I remember when he came, because Mr. Rahul used to teach us on a certain podium. So he used to sit there, and he said that while I was studying, I used to just wait that there will be a day that I will get up here and speak with all of you, saying that yes, get inspired by me, I'm a judge and I did this thing. So that always inspired me, that I also want to be like that, number one. So in my low days, yes, I had this thing of break in every 15 days, like a proper Sunday, like a Sunday where I may do Hindi, because Hindi translation, I never took it as a part of exam. I took it as my hobby, so that I need to get it into the brilliant mode. So I used to, after every 14 days, that one day used to be maybe, because for me, going to GK Market with my mom, or watching a movie at home, or going out with my parents or with my brother. My sister was not in Delhi at that time, so watching a movie with them, market. So I used to do one such outing after every 14 days, and at times I used to go alone also with a very. So then this used to be energizing. So I remember every 14 days, at that time I used to like coffee of Costa Coffee. There used to be GK Market Costa Coffee. So I used to go. So my mom used to shop and I used to say, I'll sit up and wait for you. I need to buy one Costa Coffee for myself and have that. So I used to just sit and just enjoy my stillness. So those used to be the low days. I used to have the fear that I'm giving so much for this exam. It's been almost 1 year now, another 1 year to go. What if I do not clear? So yes, there used to be, but then I was one thing I was sure about was that I will make a very good lawyer, because my preparation was to such an extent. I was confident enough that I'm preparing it at such a level. If I clear this exam, yes. I never used to think about it, because to me positivity and the secret is never speak negative. In fact, my family used to make fun of me anytime if they used to discuss anything with me, saying like, what if it doesn't happen? I used to instantly say cancel. Like I was so positive that with my preparation that I will crack it for sure. So that positivity was there, and you can also work on that. Can we rely on standard books that we read in LLB college for the exams? Yes, you can, but for important topics, you need to read the commentary also. Like there are important topics for which you need to read instances, examples, and case laws. So you cannot be sticking to simple basic books like the textbooks. So you need commentary reading. Like for CRPC, the topics like bail, the topics like charge, the topic like anticipatory bail, you need to have reading of the commentary for sure. How to work on case laws? Yes, case laws you always remember. See, when you do it like case laws, every topic has like 3 to 5 important case laws, and when you know that this topic is in your 5-star important topic, you have to memorize it. So I remember I used to make a sheet of paper. I remember like in CPC I had like 4 pages topic wise, 5 case laws I had written for remembering one day before the exam, because I told you that time you need to have a very you need to have a very precise reading material to memorize. So you need to memorize it. There are people who say even if you don't write the case laws, it's fine. But I am of that school that case laws and explaining of the concept is very important. Concept explaining shows it to the teacher who is correcting your paper that you know more than what they've asked, and you know where are you taking this proposition from, and so you're able to explain it well. So when the examiner is able to identify that in your answer, so then of course then you will get good marks. How to deal with practical questions, where to practice them from? Yes, it is very important. I've been privileged enough because I've been a law researcher in High Court of Delhi. So, and I was working with Justice Sikri, and I remember he used to give me, of course he used to make corrections, but I always used to be determined whenever he used to give me any file to work on, I always used to be determined that I will give him in such a way with the order and thing and whatever work he wants from me, that he doesn't have to correct it. So that used to be my aim and my determination. I'm sure the thing which I used to do in 4 hours, he could do it in 10 minutes, 5 minutes. But then yes, that was my way of learning. He was patient enough to give me this way of learning and guide me on step by step. So that really helped me in my practical delivery of the questions in the paper. But for you, if you're not even a law researcher, take any last year papers, try to do judgment writing. Like, what is judgment writing? You explain the facts, number 1. You identify the proposition involved, the concern, the issue involved, the proposition issue, and then you discuss the case law, the proposition, and then you come to the decision, and then you come to the conclusion. So 5 parts, then you can practice it yourself. You can share it with your friends who can do it with you. You can share it with your teachers who can correct it for you and guide you. So this is all about it. Ma'am, can you share your way of making a flow chart? For every topic it was different. It is as simple as it could be. In fact, I had I remember 2 years back I was cleaning and I have like for CPC, CRPC, I've still kept it with me, because whenever the court gets changed, so you have to revise the law. So I have those with me. But then see, you have to make it for yourself. Like if you take a section, every section has its essential ingredients. So supposedly if we take any section and we divide it into essential ingredients, so those essential ingredients becomes the concept of that section. 5 concepts, you can say 5 sub-concepts. In every those sub-concept, you can divide it and you can say that this is important, this is important. You can write it yourself. So those brain mapping and those flowcharts is actually as per your own brain functioning. Even if you take my flowchart, that would not make you understand to an extent which your brain should understand. So try making your own flowcharts. You can Google how to make a flowchart. Even I remember I did that. I used the technology to the core, and technology gives you brilliant ideas. I remember the question one of you asked, that how to memorize. Because I was in class 8th when this cyber thing, we used to have this cyber rooms in every colony. The internet wasn't there at your place. So I remember I was in class 11 and I had this thing to perform in my school. So I went and I Googled once that how to memorize. Then one of my cousin brother was home. So he shared this tip with me of learning the initial of the headings. So that really helped. So these days you can find these tricks and tips on Google, and they help a lot. Do we need to study for GK current affairs? Yes, we need to study. You need to have this newspaper, even if you feel that this newspaper, Hindu, may be boring for you. But then I used to read Hindu newspaper. I used to read Times of India. Reason I used to follow Times of India is, it's a very up-to-date newspaper and it covers High Court of Delhi very well. So at that time it used to cover High Court of Delhi very well. Every page there used to be 3 news items regarding High Court of Delhi. So for us that's the concern. So because I was focused for Delhi judicial exam, so Hindu newspaper for making your editorial side, then Times of India, and then I used to love this newspaper introduced to me by my sister called Mint. I even read that newspaper till date. So the second last page and the last page of that Mint had an editorial section, and the writers were very good. They help you in your essay writing. So this 3 newspapers I had. Then of course this magazine called Pratyogita Darpan. I used to do my GK from there. And then yes, this is all. How has your life been post clearing the exam and then becoming a judge? Indeed, beautiful. I got the teachers, the mentors, they promised me that 2 years of hard work and determination will make you reach and will give you the satisfaction for life. Yes, it is a satisfaction for life, and I'm happy that every day when you get up and you go to court, like even now, like even if it's at work from home going on, but you're determined to work. You're determined to such an extent because your work profile is interesting. Your work profile is, and it matters. It matters to you, number one. It matters to the institute, and it matters to the people who are in contact with you, who are appearing before you. So it is a determination and a dedication. It is a daily dedication, and life has been interesting and beautiful. Of course, hard work doesn't end. But then yes, dreams do get realized, and then one dream gets over, you have another dream, you have your life goals. So a law school teacher of mine, she's also a judge. So she once, when I became a judge, she was in Judicial Academy. So she shared it with me. Always have short-term goals and long-term goals, 5-year goals and 10-year goals. So I remember, because now next year I will be 10 years in service. So the other day I was thinking that where have I been in last 10 years and what all can I do for next 10 years? How to further the cause of justice and the work which I have. So yes, so these your law school teachers of course guide you well. So another question. We need to end by 2:55. I think we will end now. So any other question? No, we can. Is there, Janvi, do we need to start again or we can end? Let me know, like I can just, are we starting again or are we finishing it? If there are any more questions, then let me know. I will come live again. Otherwise, we end it right away. And we can end. Oh, great. I've got the heads up from Janvi. Thank you so much, Janvi. We are ending it right away. All the best to each one of you. Be determined, be dedicated. The profession which you have chosen has scope for each one of us. We all can perform very well and use this COVID-19 lockdown time for virtual learning, and be inspired always. All the very best, and Eid Mubarak to each one of you. Thank you. Bye-bye.